Hello, and welcome to the Brave New Weed podcast. And now, here's your host, Joe Dolce.
Hi, Matthew.
Hi, Joe. Welcome back.
Thank you. I was just in California for 2 weeks where the world of cannabis is very different from what it looks like in New York. I'll tell you, man.
Bet it's different and a half.
Yeah, I saw some amazing things.
Yeah.
Not only did I see, I saw makers doing cannabis-infused marshmallows, low dose.
You've been telling me about these marshmallows for a while now. Did you have one?
I did have one, and the woman who's doing it, Stephanie Hua, is doing a cookbook for Chronicle. So I was with her testing recipes, which is a very nice thing to do.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yep, I have to say.
How many recipes for marshmallows?
Oh, no, it's not just marshmallows. I'm sorry. This is a whole cookbook with using cannabis in very delicious ways. I also had the opportunity to try the new hemp fiber rosin-infused puck that fits the Firefly vaporizer.
Yeah, we spoke about this a bit on the last episode.
That was a very interesting experience. I've never used rosin before, and it's a very clear, very beautifully flavored extract that has no chemicals in anything. It's just heat extraction. And they've done a very clever thing in a very neat little puck. We're going to have the founder of Firefly on an upcoming episode. He's got a lot to say about vaporization. I look forward to
learning more about that.
Yeah, vaporization is very interesting, and we're still just learning about the nuances of it. I also did a ganja yoga class.
Oh yeah,
which we have an interview with the founder of Ganja Yoga, Dee Dassault, also coming up.
What is the motivation behind? Is it just more personal attunement is the goal, or what is there, or is it just a gimmicky thing to draw people out?
I thought it might have been gimmicky. It was actually one of the most restorative and relaxing classes. I did a restorative yoga class. It was rather beautiful, very social, completely different from a typical yoga class. And we'll talk about it. You'll hear from her. She's got a lot to say. A lot to say.
I look forward to that.
Hey, we have a contest winner from last week, don't we?
We do. So we had our first contest, and I'm happy to announce that our Patreon patron, Selena Nadal, is our winner. She is going to win an autographed copy of Warren Bobro's Cannabis Cocktails, Mocktails, and Tonics that we talked about on the last episode.
I hope she uses it modestly.
So congratulations, Selena. We will be reaching out to you to find out how to get this book out to you. We look forward to having a lot more contests as well. So congratulations.
So what's new in the news here? I think Jeff Sessions is crowing again about asset forfeiture this time.
Lord, when is Jeff Sessions not in the news saying something stupid?
Oh, tell me.
So yeah, he's back again in the news talking about what is adoptive asset forfeiture. So this is an original tool of the old school drug war. And he's working to bring it back. So there's been a lot of work on the state level to undo the policy of asset forfeiture, especially for minor drug offenders. And that's all good and well. So now Sessions wants to bring back a policy of adoptive asset forfeiture. This states that state-level sheriff's departments and police departments can contact the federal government to ask them to take over an investigation in which they feel that asset forfeiture can take place.
So asset forfeiture is when the government basically takes your property when it arrests you. And why this has been a boon to local police is that they get to get 80% back from the feds of any assets they seize.
Right.
It's a nightmare policy. It really should go away, but I think Jeff Sessions should go away also. So I don't think we have a lot of...
Well, there's another big part of that is in the way that it was originally wielded as a weapon by the Justice Department is criminal charges did not even need to be levied against a person for their assets to be held and just altogether taken.
Never given back.
There's the process to giving it back was years and years in the makings. People were losing houses, cars, facilities, savings accounts, all sorts of things that could just be swooped in upon and taken away. I mean, obviously it's a larger drug policy conversation that can be had about this, but I think in the world of cannabis, it's not going to have this big scary impact. I think we're going to dodge a bullet. There's a lot of people inside the Justice Department who are putting up blocking walls. There's a price tag limit for the Fed to get involved. a lot of states have also put laws on the books saying that asset forfeiture is wrong, or that going to the federal government and getting involved in legal marijuana where states has been legal in states where it's been legalized. So I think in that regard we dodge a bullet, but it's definitely something that as a larger drug policy conversation is not a good move, and it is not the direction we need to be heading.
We know that. Whenever you hear the word Jeff Sessions, it basically seems to be not the direction we're heading. So tell me about Dana Rohrabacher's latest exploits also. I mean, go on. I mean, the only reason we really like Dana Rohrabacher, I mean, he's a complete right-wing conservative zealot nutcase who happens to have had a sick relative who used cannabis medically and healed. And he opened his eyes and he saw it. And, and put this amendment forward.
Yeah. We come up with Rohrabacher Farr. It sort of helps us with what we were just talking about keeping the Fed out of legal marijuana in states that have gone through the process. But yeah, outside of that, he does not seem to be on top of his game.
What's he doing now?
I don't know. He was asking scientists at NASA if when they got up there with the Curiosity rover, if they found ancient civilizations and ruins of these civilizations on Mars. So that just leads me to state, Mr. Rohrabacher, I'll smoke whatever you're having. Like, I want some of that.
I think be careful of what he's smoking. It doesn't seem like it's good for the brain. I got to tell you that much.
Also, some nonsense. He's now tied up in this whole Russia investigation.
Let's not even go there. Okay. Let's not even go there.
Let's talk about Nevada.
Can you believe they say that they're running out of cannabis in the state of Nevada?
I mean, it's kind of amazing that we live in a world in which a state government is declaring a state of emergency because they've run out of pot.
This is the post-prohibitionist era, Matthew.
We've made it. We're through the other side. We're done. Podcast's over.
But I can't for the life of me understand what's going on there, okay? It sounds to me like big alcohol wants some cut of the action.
Yeah, so to back up and just give some backstory, because of question 2 on the Nevada ballot, the people of Nevada voted to legalize recreational marijuana. The initiative went into effect on the 1st of July, and almost immediately sales were through the roof. And then almost immediately after that, this state of emergency is declared because of a legal injunction that was filed by the Independent Alcohol Distributors of Nevada to basically claim that they have the exclusive ability to distribute this type of product inside the state.
But these guys, the independent distributors, they're pipsqueaks. They're not big alcohol.
Right. So you go back to big alcohol, who originally wanted nothing to do with it. They said this is going to be too complicated, and they were worried that it would jeopardize their federal licenses to distribute. Obviously, if Jeff Sessions comes down and clamps down on them for distributing pot, then they're in a world of hurt.
So let's talk to Brawley Joy, who's a Nevada grower, distributor, and dispensary owner.
We have on the phone right now Brawley Joy, who is out in Nevada, who can maybe explain the situation a little bit better for us. Brawley, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Obviously, we've been paying a lot of attention to what's been going on in Nevada. The rollover to recreational sales has recently happened. There was reported over $500,000 in tax revenue generated in the first day, ultimately prompting the state of Nevada to declare a state of emergency
for running out of weed. This is really the post-prohibition era here. What did you think when you heard that there was a state of emergency being set?
We are in a state of emergency, and just to be clear, Nevada did not run out. There's plenty of cultivators here that are doing incredible work and have really good cannabis available for patients and recreational consumers alike. The reason we ran out is because we ran out at the dispensary level because of an injunction that was filed by the alcohol distributors to block us from doing what we've been doing for the last 2.5 years without incident.
Brawley, can you back up for a second and give us like a bigger picture understanding of this? Because I had it wrong. I thought that when the law was written that it actually barred big alcohol from getting involved, but you're telling me that they have filed an injunction forcing themselves to be involved. Can you back up and give us the lowdown of what exactly is taking place in this, cultivation to distribution breakdown?
So leading up to July 1st, we have been able, as cultivators and producers, to ship all of our products and wholesale them to dispensaries all over the state. The problem that we ran into is there wasn't a lot of interest from big alcohol distributors here because it puts their federal license in jeopardy. So a lot of the big guys didn't want to have anything to do with it. And I think some of the bigger operations probably did their research and realized there wasn't really going to be a lot of money in here without severely, damaging the industry and driving prices through the roof. So it just wasn't sustainable.
They didn't want to be involved in the distribution, and now all of a sudden they're suing to get back in?
Well, this is a different group. It's not the actual alcohol distributors. This group is called the independent alcohol distributors.
So should people who are going to Nevada and plan to go to a dispensary think about bringing their own instead?
No, I wouldn't recommend that at all. The good news is the emergency that's been declared was done by the state and the Governor Sandoval, and he's seeing the harm that it's going to do to the industry, and most importantly, the loss in tax revenue that the state is losing right now. It's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars a day.
Has the whole thing just ground to a halt at this point, or are there still ways to get cannabis distributed out to dispensaries?
So right now, we are still allowed to distribute medical use only. So anything that I take out of my cultivation or production facility and drive over in my vehicle to our dispensary or any other dispensary that I'm licensed to deliver to, they can sell that product, but only to medical patients in the state of Nevada. So that we can do.
Is this just going to open up the floodgates for like tobacco distributors? Like, is everybody going to want a slice of this pie now?
The thing that makes sense is for the alcohol distributors to just leave this alone. They really serve no purpose. We don't need them. They haven't been involved in any way, shape, or form other than lobbying against this industry for years leading up to this. Now they want a part of it. It's frustrating.
Thank you, Brawley, for that firsthand account of what's really going on. I think it's a bit different than both of us understood, having heard that, and I'm really curious as to where it's going to go next.
God knows. This is only in Nevada, I would say. This is a state where prostitution is illegal in one county and legal in the next, and it makes no sense. It's still, I believe, illegal in Las Vegas, prostitution, but legal in the next county.
I don't know. I can't get into the nuance of prostitution.
No, it's completely baffling, the state of Nevada.
So hopefully they get it worked out, and I think that they just need to turn it back over to the people who know the most about the business, which are the growers and the distributors.
Good idea. Let's see if you can let the politicians and the alcohol lobby get out of it.
Well, if you're out there listening and you're in Nevada, I would definitely suggest banging the phones to the governor and seeing if you can get this worked out.
Good luck, Nevada.
We're pulling for you.
Good luck. So, one thing I want to tell you is there's a lot of buzz these days about CBD, the quiet sister molecule to THC. It's really shown to be a very healing thing, and it's been in the news a lot. I mean, I just put a story out on the prices of CBD, which are absolutely scandalous. I put it on Leafly. Leafly published it. Right. They did a big investigation and really supported me in that effort.
We're definitely going to get that onto all of our social media. We'll blast it out on Facebook and Twitter. We encourage you to go and check that article out. There's a lot more information in there as well than just pricing. There's a lot of useful stuff.
Well, the other thing I want to tell you is that on August 15th, we're going to be doing a live podcast from a great place in New York called The Alchemist Kitchen. And I've got on with me a fantastic doctor, also a woman who's trained integrative physician. Her name is Dr. Junella Chin, who's treated, some 15,000 patients over the course of her career. And she's going to really talk about how to use CBD in a healthful way. So I'm hoping that you guys can all listen in. We'll be broadcasting it live. We'll be doing a Facebook Live broadcast. It's on the 15th of August.
Yeah, definitely connect with us on social media to learn more about this and keep your eyes open. It's gonna be broadcast out on Facebook Live. We're gonna be recording it and publishing it as a live episode of the podcast. And we are also going to integrate this into our Patreon rewards. So we have a Patreon level that says you get to come to a recording of the show.
That'd be great.
These things align perfectly. So all of our Patreon patrons who have come in at that reward level or higher, we're going to get your ticket, and you guys are invited to come to the show.
And if you've never been to the Alchemist Kitchen, by the way, it's a very cool space in the East Village in New York. It's full of people who love plants, plantophilias or something like that, plantophiliacs. It's just an amazing thing. No. They have beautiful juices of all sorts of vegetables that do all sorts of mental things. That they put different potions in them, and they increase your brain power and your sexual potency and all sorts of things that, of course, we all want.
So we are very much looking forward to this event, and hopefully it leads to many more live podcast events like this, where we can share information with an audience, a live audience, a recorded audience.
Yeah, it's great. It's great fun, and you get to see us. You get to see us in person also, for what that's worth.
So mark your calendars. That's
August 15th.
August 15th.
So our guest tonight is the third part of our CBD trifecta here.
Yeah, it's like a CBD day.
This is CBD day today. Our guest tonight is Jesse Stanley. Now, he's one of the guys that Sanjay Gupta made very famous a couple of years ago, because he and his brothers grow this strain of hemp in Colorado that helped a young girl named Charlotte Figi go from 300 epileptic seizures a day to 3 a week. Obviously, they become hugely famous as a result of this. People started moving to Colorado with their sick kids, became known as medical refugees. They left their homes, their families, to get the treatment. Hemp is interesting because it can be bought on the internet, and it's the feds aren't going to get in your way, so they say anyway. Right now, it's not psychoactive, and yet it has some healing properties.
Well, I've been taking for a couple of weeks now measured doses of the Charlotte's Web CBD product that they produce, and I got to tell you, I'm a fan.
Have you been using it for any medical condition?
I have. I've been doing a lot lately as far as some construction on our studio space and a lot of work out in Bushwick in that regard. So a lot of sore muscles, a lot of stress, and those sorts of things. And I have found that one of the capsules or a couple of the droppers of the tincture is actually very, very helpful for muscle fatigue, soreness, stiffness, things related to stress. And it really is great.
It is a highly powerful anti-inflammatory. So let's not us talk about it. Let's get Jesse on the line and see what he has to say. Okay. Jesse, it's so confusing, the nomenclature here, because cannabis sativa, which is what we call marijuana here in North America, is psychoactive. Hemp is not. What's the difference? Explain the difference between hemp and marijuana. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really just terminology. I mean, hemp has always been called cannabis. We really sort of coined it in the early 1900s as marijuana, which was a slang term to make it sound ethnic and worse than cannabis.
Yes, it made it sound foreign.
Exactly, which is all scary, and that's how they scared people and got the propaganda. But really, the only difference in hemp and what we would call marijuana is the THC content. And hemp is classified, at least in the United States of America, at 0.3%. THC, so it has to be less than that. But in the European Union, it's 0.2% THC, so it's different everywhere. But hemp, as we generally know it, has been grown for fiber and seed to get hemp oil or things like that. The new therapeutic hemp that we grow, or that's becoming a new industry for CBD, is kind of new. So the difference, though, going back to your question of what's the difference between CBD and hemp and CBD and cannabis sativa or marijuana, the molecules are the same. It's just a matter of how much is grown in the plant. CBD doesn't change. It's the phytochemicals, how much THC, how many of the other molecules, the terpenes, the many different things that people are starting to learn about in the plant. The difference is pure and simply legality.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that because that seems very vague on the legality front. We know that CBD is legal in all 50 states, but growing it is illegal then?
Technically, yeah. I mean, growing CBD in marijuana is federally illegal. Growing hemp that happens to be rich in CBD is not illegal. So really, it's a gray area, and it's the ambiguity of it is a little bit befuddling. So I fully understand why people would be confused by this. But as we grew it back whenever Sanjay Gupta covered us, hemp was illegal to grow in the United States of America, which, interestingly enough, we import more hemp than anywhere in the world. So it didn't make a whole lot of sense why our own farmers couldn't grow something that we happen to import.
Yeah, I mean, from my understanding, it's state by state which is allowed to grow hemp. Not all states are allowed to grow hemp at this point.
Technically, under the Farm Bill and the Omnibus Bill, it is legal to grow hemp. Now, they defer to states' rights there, and states do vote. But interstate commerce has been is legal under those the purview of the Farm Bill and the Omnibus Bill that was recently enacted by Obama, and then sorry, that's my computer, and then also upheld by our new president.
It is completely mental. But here's the confusing thing. So some hemp has some therapeutic value, and other hemp oils do not. And this is what confuses me. So can you give some insight into that?
Absolutely. So hemp oil that we all would know before we really kind of blew up and this industry blew up is more nutraceutical. It's more dietary, similar to olive oil or sunflower oil, avocado oil. It's just pressed hemp seed. It is actually healthy. It contains cannabinoids, minor traces of cannabinoids, and it's healthy in omega-3s and fatty acids in that type of way. Whereas our hemp oil, which is more therapeutic, is higher in the compounds, the cannabinoids that are healthy. So that ranges from THC to CBD, CBC, CBG, and we could go down the line of all of these. Ours is specifically high in CBD or cannabidiol.
And do you say that yours is a different strain? I mean, why are some hemps more therapeutic than others? This is confusing.
Because of the way that's processed. So most hemp oil, as you would know it, that you could go and buy at Whole Foods, is processed through the seed. It's basically pressed seed, and so that is, people wouldn't take that to treat anything. Ours is processed by the whole plant, so the actual flowers of the plant, not seed. We don't press anything. We extract the molecules of the plant, and then we refine it, and then we test it, goes through our CGMP compliant lab and our FDA registered lab. Then we test it to figure out what the cannabinoid content is, and then we're able to put in that bottle specific cannabinoids that people are taking for therapeutic use.
So there's lots of controversy about this amongst the for lack of a better word, the healing community. Some people, many people I know, claim or say that if it's not derived from cannabis, if it's a hemp oil, it's not as powerful because it doesn't have the same mix rich of all these different compounds and
I would agree with that, depending on how it's grown. But a lot of that is just misconception. Most people, when this just got started, were importing hemp paste, which is basically a bunch of industrial hemp that's grown for fiber or seed, grinding it up, that all has very minor cannabinoids in it, and you extract bulk amounts of it to get the cannabinoids. That is the way it had been done up until recently. Now people are growing CBD-rich hemp strains like ours. We grow from the same genetics every time for our specific products. but those are between the range of 10 to 20% CBD, whereas industrial hemp is less than 1% CBD.
I see. Okay. It's very confusing. The other thing is,
I think it's very similar, or it sounds very similar to the same way we do THC in strains of sativa plants, where we're saying, this one is a very strong THC content, this one's a very weak THC content. I mean, it seems very parallel.
It is the same. I mean, now, I'm not old enough to know, but from the studies I've seen in the 1970s, most marijuana, as you would call it, or cannabis sativa, was probably between 5 and 10% THC. Well, us making it illegal and people breeding it have now tipped the scale to strains that are 25 to 30% THC. Those are very different plants as opposed to the stuff, whatever you people called it back then, Mexican brickweed or swag or whatever. Those are very, very different, but still both cannabis sativa.
it was sort of amazing that the fact that we don't have that much CBD in pot we smoke for recreation was a result of prohibition. From my understanding, the growers, once the Reagans started bombing fields and spraying DHT and paraquat all over them, they all moved indoors. And they began to selectively breed out CBD because it has a mild effect on THC. They sort of fight each other like an old married couple, CBD and THC.
Yeah,
and then they bred this out because it wasn't getting as high in the plant. So it was, from what I understand, it was this almost accidental breeding experiment that really changed the North American varieties. Is that your understanding, Jesse?
Absolutely. That's exactly what happened. That's what prohibition has done with everything. I mean, look, you prohibit anything, people are going to find a way to make it stronger, make it more powerful. And that's exactly what happened with cannabis. I mean, for thousands of years, we can look back and see that cannabis was used as therapy or medicine. This isn't anything new. Now, what that study was probably really high in CBD, also THC, but a lot of CBD. Closet growers or growers in the 1970s, there's no money in people smoking something that doesn't get you high.
And they didn't really know the healing. They didn't know the anti-inflammatory effects back then, did they?
Absolutely not. And the reason why,
largely probably didn't care.
Well, they didn't care, but even the people that were using it for medicinal value, what prohibition does, not only does it put it on the black market, but it also prohibits study. It prohibits the clinical trials that people want. So people have no idea that this is actually medicinal because you can't, not only can we not access it, neither can researchers.
Yeah, that's exactly the case. I mean, it's so fascinating and crazy. Again, the history of all this stuff. So when you guys sort of got famous, there was a lot of stuff coming out against you. I mean, I remember reading articles saying, "Oh, it's charlatans' web." There's they're claiming that this strain is any different from that strain or this strain or this strain or that strain. What was the effect of that on you all?
Honestly, our heads are so down in the dirt, so to speak, no pun intended, that really we didn't pay a whole lot of attention to that. We have a mission. We still have a mission, and our goal is to help people and to change the way people view medicine, to change the way people view therapy and treating their bodies with more botanical-based extracts as opposed to pharmaceuticals. That we felt like anybody else, you get exposure for something, you're always going to have haters, but the amount of people that we've been a part of changing their lives and the blessing that that's been to us significantly outweighs people that write articles not knowing anything about us or our practices. So really, we've seen them, people send them to us, but the love that we get it far outweighs the hate. I compare it similar to maybe the Yankees. Everybody hates the Yankees, but they're also Americans. Nobody, unfortunately, in this industry, it's really sad. We haven't sort of, I guess, combined our forces. We haven't joined together to create one unit that is speaking from, the same verbiage. Everybody is trying to grasp as much as they can in this industry to make as much money, and they don't want to see people ahead of them, or they don't want to see people benefit whenever maybe they're not benefiting. So you have the people that throw rocks at you, and that's always going to be the case. And for us, it comes with success, I think.
Crabs in a bucket.
Yeah.
Is it the case that your CBD, now again versus whole plant cannabis sativa, doesn't treat pain or the same number of illnesses that one of the other CBDs might?
Absolutely not. Actually, that's so people that call whole plant. Ours is whole plant. We extract whole plant more so than most other the products out there. We take the whole plant and extract it from, some of the stock to the actual phytochemicals in the what we would call bud or flowers. And a lot of people, in fact, take our. I think the number one reason people take our product is for severe pain. It's the misconception and the stories that you guys hear and that everybody hears is that this is only for epilepsy, and that's just not really what we've seen. That just happens to be what the media picks up on and what the stories are about. But more people are taking CBD specifically for that anti-inflammatory and the antioxidants. Well, pain is inflammation. So a lot of people take our CBD, specifically Charlotte's Web, to combat pain, whether that's from arthritis, MS, or just severe pain from back problems, stubbed toe, or whatever it is you might be suffering pain from.
I would like to elaborate on that a little bit if I could. And the question that I want to ask you, Jesse, is what do we know, and this is specifically you guys, what do you guys know and what can you prove in terms of treating the variety of ailments? Like, we know that it's anti-inflammatory. We know that you've used it in the past for epilepsy. These things have been talked about. What else do you guys know? And then scientifically speaking, what can you prove?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, to answer the most important part of that question, scientifically, I can't prove anything. It goes back to the prohibition. That locked out all research. Now that's being changed. We're changing that. There's 20,000, I believe, peer-reviewed studies on cannabis that show some anecdotal evidence that maybe we can prove this scientifically. But we're working on some studies so that we can, like they say, put our money where our mouth is, or whatever that might be. But anecdotally, what we've seen specifically with our products, and I'll talk just about Charlotte's Web, is that the studies out there and the proof in the pudding on epilepsy and what we've seen observationally, I don't make any claims, I'm not allowed to, and I that's not the pulpit I stand on. But what we've seen is a little girl go from 300 seizures a week to 1 to 2 a month. What I've seen is a little boy go from 400 seizures an hour to no seizures in 4 years. The response rate that we have from people that have epilepsy speaks for itself. Now, why that works, how that works, I'm not going to say. I'm not at liberty to say until we do the research and the studies, and I really do hope we can do those and do those fast so we can better understand why this is working.
I would just like to say there are preclinical studies that have been done abroad for many years. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's not all anecdotal.
But they are not our gold standard FDA approved clinical trials, double blind.
But that's going to take 30 years, so that's not going to happen in our lifetime.
Absolutely, but our medical professionals, that's what they're touting. Whenever
that's
you tout something,
AMA and doctors, other healers know that. I mean, I just came back from Israel. I spoke to 1 million researchers there. They're all laughing that people are waiting for these massive. It's comical.
It's comical. You're 100% right. But the issue is that our providers, the people and insurance companies, they don't tout the thousands of people that have studied cannabis in Israel. I mean, they're the leaders in this, but they don't. That goes out the window. Whenever you bring that up, they're like, "Well, that was done over there. This isn't FDA approved. It's not clinical trial." That's why Epidiolex done by GW, everybody's looking at. Well, I can tell you just from the numbers I've seen, Charlotte's Web has shown to be more efficacious than their product. And ours is $250 for possibly 3 months. Theirs could be anywhere from $35,000 to $60,000 a year.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. That's a good. Let's talk about price for a second, because I just did this story for Leafly on the price of hemp-derived CBD, and it's all over the board. You and I talked about this. Yours is about 5 cents a milligram. It's about the lowest out there. There's another few that are around that point. But it goes up to about 90 cents a milligram, which is insane. That's like as big as the Grand Canyon, that chasm of price variation. How do you explain that?
A lot of it, again, goes back to your source and how your company operates. The good thing about our company, and I don't throw other companies under the bus. I don't know their practices, but we're vertically integrated. Our CBD or our hemp strains are very rich in cannabidiol and cannabinoids. So we are able to grow this on a mass scale to lower the cost there. We don't import anything. We control our supply. Some people are making hemp CBD products from stuff they import, and they have to extract a bunch of it to get the CBD that they want. Thus, their costs are through the roof. I don't understand how it could be 90 cents. Sometimes it can be the bioavailability of it, so the actual what they're giving it to you in. But
it's really not. It's the milligrams. You just have to do the math. I mean, you buy it, you see how many
for sure,
milligrams.
absolutely. It's still how they make it. I mean, is it in a tincture? If we're talking about tinctures or infusions, then you're right. 90 cents a milligram is absurd, and usually that comes from a need base. Before Sanjay Gupta came out, there were very little CBD products out there on the market in general. Most people didn't even know how to pronounce the word cannabidiol, let alone know that it was a molecule in cannabis. And then after that, it was overnight. You saw things on Amazon, you saw them on eBay of this, what people would call snake oil. It actually did a disservice to our industry because these people were just trying to get rich off of a need that these parents had because this wasn't available. So people were moving to Colorado to get Charlotte's Web, to get our product. But back then, we were growing under the medical marijuana purview. We could only grow so many plants. So what that did, it created a waiting list. Well, these people decided, well, we can get this from hemp paste. We'll extract it. We'll put it out there, and we will basically be bloodsuckers and go after these people that their kids need this. They have hope that it might work. And now, how many of these parents bought this product that was basically snake oil, and they were turned off? Their child had an adverse reaction to it, and now they'll never try it again because people were just out there trying to make money. That's the sad part about this, that the FDA, I believe in 2014, sent out letters to a lot of these businesses telling them to cease and desist because some of them had no CBD in their product at all.
Yeah. I mean, we still don't know. It's still not regulated, so we still don't know. I mean, there are really thousands of different manufacturers of this stuff.
No labeling.
It is, but the good thing is that I would say, not to pat ourselves on the back, but companies like ours, I could say Bluebird Botanicals, some of these companies that are trying to regulate themselves and put out really good products. Another one would be Lixinol. They're really raising the bar for people to have to put their money where their mouth is in their products. And I don't know what the price of their products are as compared to ours. I just know that for my brothers and I and our company, we do everything, like you said, there is no regulation. Well, we regulate ourselves as if regulation will come. If the FDA comes into our lab, we will pass with flying colors because we feel that time is coming, and we're not in this for the get rich quick or any of that type of stuff. We have a different mission. We have a different goal. And our goal is, like I said, to change the way people treat their bodies and to give people another option that isn't pharmaceutical based. That's
admirable. There's another company I like called Green Mountain CBD out of Vermont. They're doing similar at a similar price.
And that's what it should be.
I'm a little surprised to hear you say you don't know what your competitors charge, Jesse.
I know it's people say that, but honestly, like if I'm busy thinking about what other people are doing, I'm not doing my mission. We feel like our cost and our price is fair, and what people get from ours. Like I said, FDA registered lab, CGMP compliant. We passed that with a 98.9%, which is in the industry standard of all dietary supplements is A++. So all that time, I don't have time to really figure out what people are charging. We're sort of the gold standard in this industry as it stands, and I like that. And as long as we continue in our practices, I think we stay that.
So what should somebody who's buying, I mean, you can buy this stuff on the internet, which is,
Is that true?
Because we live in, some states are illegal still. Doesn't matter.
We ship to all
What
50.
should they look for? What are the things on the label that should look for? And even if they're not on the label, if they're not on the label, what are the warning signs? What's missing?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, the first thing that should be on there is manufactured, where it's manufactured. Ingredients is always a nice thing to have on there. When people don't have what they put in there, I would generally, regardless of whether it's cannabis or it's sparkling water with flavor, don't drink it, don't take it. So that's number one. They should have what is in there exactly, the molecules. So specifically from the FDA standpoint, you can't market CBD, so you can't put CBD on there, but you can put cannabinoids. And cannabinoids need to be on there if you don't see that.
So it should say CBD. It should say CBG. What should it say?
It should say cannabinoids. So if you were to look at our bottle will say nothing about CBD because the FDA doesn't allow us to market CBD. We put cannabinoids on there, and then the good thing about our company is we work with and support the Realm of Caring, which is a nonprofit that we started that really helps people answer the questions of what they're taking. And since we're not allowed to say that, the Realm of Caring does that. They don't do it just for us. So this is for anybody listening out there that has bought a CBD product. The rock.us, ROC, if you contact them, they'll help you with dosing, they'll help you with your product and what it is and tell you whether it's safe and what they know about it. And really those types of resources are so important for somebody that's looking to treat a illness, debilitating disease, because like you guys said, unfortunately, with the way the FDA is and the DEA, there's not a lot of information out there because we can't give the information. And people that are trying to treat something, one of the biggest questions they have, well, how do I dose? Yeah. Well, if you're doing it right and under the FDA purview, I'm not allowed to tell you that. That's the sad part of this. I can't tell you how much to take, but the Realm of Caring can. The Realm of Caring can help you. They work with Johns Hopkins. We're working with Harvard on some studies as it comes to PTSD and observational research when it comes to just responders of cannabis.
Good. That's great. Anything else you'd like to say? Or Matthew, any other questions you have?
I mean, I could ask questions all day on some of this stuff. I did want to ask about, Joe had just offhandedly mentioned that you could buy it on the internet. How, if somebody does want to contact you to acquire some CBD, some Charlotte's Web, how would somebody go about that? I know you guys are out in the Midwest. Like, if they're here, Canada maybe. Like, how widely available is it, and how can we go and get it?
Yeah, absolutely. Our website is cwhemp.com, so you can go online there and buy it. We ship to all 50 states. We ship to another 38 countries. We have distribution channels in the European Union. We're working on getting it basically widespread around the world. I'd love to be like Coca-Cola and be in every country but Cuba and North Korea. But we're not there yet. But right now you can buy it in the States. And then again, I highly recommend if you do buy it, sign up with the Realm of Caring. You're going to get a discount even further on the product. And you're going to have access to a wealth of information on how to treat or how to dose or how to better understand the cannabidiol and cannabinoids in general. And that going back to that realm of caring, that's not just for CBD, that's for THC. For somebody out there in a medical marijuana state who is dealing with cancer or something, and they went out and they bought a THC candy bar or whatever it is you bought, and you have no idea, contact the Realm of Caring. They're going to be able to answer most of your questions, and their response rate and how fast they get back to you it's alarming how fast it is.
What do you guys have coming up that we should be aware of, Jesse, for the Stanley Brothers, for Charlotte's Web? Like, what are the next things that people need to look out for?
Yeah, we're working on a really awesome project in upstate New York. We're working with the Center for Discovery, which is an autism treatment center, which is one of the most amazing places I've ever been to. The way they treat the kids up there and the people that are staying there is through their diet. So they grow everything there on their farms, and then they also take care of their own cattle. They take care of the chickens, the honey, everything. It's really amazing. And the kids and the people that are there, they actually help learn how to do all this stuff. So they're, planting carrots, and they're taking care of all this stuff. So it's pretty amazing to see that. What we're doing is we're partnering with them to help try to cull the seizures that a lot of people on the autism spectrum have. So we're going to teach them how to grow our genetics, and then that are high in CBD. Then we're going to extract it and give it back to them to help them sort of cull the seizures that they're having. We're going to document a lot of it, and we're really excited to show that to the world so that people can see, not one, what cannabis can do for people on the autism spectrum, but also what the Center for Discovery is. That place is absolutely beautiful. It's amazing. And their goals and their visions really align with what the Stanley Brothers and with what Charlotte's Web is wanting to do in this world.
Yeah, that sounds phenomenal. And we definitely have to keep us informed as to when that's going to be, because, Joe and I are based out of New York City. We would love to come up and see the operation, to check it out, and just participate and help spread the word, because we're right there with you. We think this is super important stuff.
Absolutely. We'll send you the dates. I'll be out there at the beginning of August. My whole family's going out there, and there's quite a big press event. So just, we'll get you the information, and we'd love to see you out there, and you guys can put your sort of foot in the ground and see exactly what we're doing here.
Excellent.
Thank you, Jesse.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Joe, you're back here in New York City now, from what seems to be the promised land of pot.
Well, I was in the Bay Area, and it's interesting. I mean, California's a mess in a way because they have so much to contend with. They have people who've been growing for 20, 30 years, right? They don't want to be excluded from the new business. So they have those sorts of concerns. Like when you were in Colorado or a state like Washington, the growers didn't have as much say, right? In California, they're a mega part of the economy and have been for a long time. So they really don't want to be cut out. So there's a lot of factors going into them setting their regulations. I was unaware of it. For example, a lot of municipalities in California, well, the law is that in California, municipalities can choose whether they want legal cannabis or not sold in their districts. And a lot of them are choosing not to have it, which is sort of crazy. They don't get any tax benefits if they choose not to.
But that's under the guise of what, like community protection?
Yes.
We don't want it near our kids.
They don't want it near our kids. They're afraid that if you see it growing, 6 plants growing, that it's going to somehow corrupt the future of society, or sort of change, as if there are no bars anywhere in the world, right? As if bars don't put Happy Friday signs out on their sidewalks. What were you going to say?
I used to live in Phoenix. There are like orange trees everywhere, but I've never met anyone addicted to orange juice.
It's quite extraordinary. Yeah, you just don't. Seeing things doesn't really lead to anything like that. But I think it's the last gasp of prohibition, frankly. I think, people are afraid that something really radical is going to happen, even though California's had a legal medical program for 20 years and really nothing radical happened.
Well, and
most Californians don't even know they have a legal medical program at this point.
Here's a better question. How long has there been cannabis in California?
Forever.
So legal or not legal, this argument of the fear is just nonsense from the get-go.
What I love, though, is somebody said to me when I was there, you know how every city has a question that's appropriate to it. So in New York, it's, what are you wearing? In Los Angeles, it's, what movie are you working on?
Okay.
And in San Francisco, it's, what are you smoking?
Oh, okay.
What strain are you smoking? I thought that was quite apt, actually. It was quite good. But, you know, you just see so much innovation going on. You're not going to feel anything like that happening in New York. You know, you see people experimenting with all different ways of using the plant. I met a woman who is experimenting with all the subcannabinoids, all the ones that we don't really know what they mean. THCA, CBDA, CBN. She's making incredible tinctures and having really interesting results medically with these tinctures. You know, I have to use a book when I'm talking to her to understand, okay, what's THCV versus THCA? It's all, it's quite still a muddle, but well worth understanding and very, very, very provocative, I think.
It's a curiosity. You and I have spoken several times about the general concern that with legalization would come the invasion of like big tobacco and big alcohol. But it sounds like California has a situation to where it's sort of an old guard of cannabis versus a new class in the same sort of way.
I wouldn't be, you know, again, you're more optimistic than I am about all this stuff. California has a law. They passed a law that said no big industry can come in for 5 years to let the locals, to let local businesses flourish.
Sure.
Get their feet on the ground, actually, before, you know, Nestle or R.J. Reynolds comes in and starts, you know, growing mega fields or mega operations. And I thought that was a really sensible thing to do.
Yeah, but if I'm the reason I bring that up is because what you said prior was like, all right, we have this 1970s farmer who's been growing and cultivating heritage strains in the Golden Triangle forever. And now, though, this new young guard and this injection of money and this innovation is coming in, it sounds like there's some infighting in the world.
Oh, there's going to be tons of infighting. I mean, there's going to be tons of infighting, of course. Everybody's going to try to stake their claim and try to protect their own interest. That's democracy, Matthew. That's how we roll here in the United States. And you can see the problem. It's very clear to me. If you were a farmer who's been growing, you know, on the sly for 30 years, you know that your business is about to change radically, probably not in your favor when legalization happens. Let's face it, black market, the days are numbered.
Sure.
And that's really interesting.
But is it
The Wild West is getting tamed.
And do you think, is your assessment of that, is this a good thing or are we losing something?
I think it's a great thing, and we will lose something, absolutely. We will definitely lose the outlaw status of cannabis, and we're going to lose some of that hip factor. But what we're going to gain is complete legitimization, more understanding of how the plant works, and hopefully a way to normalization so that people can use it in measured and interesting ways and talk about it.
Brave new world of weed, indeed.
Here we are.
Thanks for listening to the Brave New Weed podcast. This episode and all future episodes are made possible by amazing listeners like yourself. If you like what you've heard, we encourage you to show your support by giving $1 a month for special access and rewards on patreon.com/bravenewweed. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram via @bravenewweed. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/bravenewweed. And remember, you can always find more information about us or information discussed in each episode by pointing your favorite browser to bravenewweed.com.